Call of the Forest. Baderon has information on a new task. Ready to hear about that job then? Like I said, the request comes from our sister guild in Gridania. And that's all I know. But whatever it is you get asked to do, I somehow doubt it'd pose any trouble for a venturer as survive ha, for a venturer as survive the Bedlam in Sestasha. If you think you might be interested, you want to have words with Mother Mione, me counterpart in Gridania. Good luck, lass. I got stumbled there. I was like, is it Mione? Mione? Well, that's what I'm going to go with. Gridania is actually probably my favorite of the starting cities. The woodsy aesthetic is more my jam. Ul'dah is the least. I don't dig deserts. So sometimes I kind of wish I had started in Gridania, but at the time, I wanted to start as Arcanist, and I think even then, like at some point before hitting 50, I ended up switching over to Marauder and Warrior, so I kind of stuck the Limsa path through A Realm Reborn. But yeah, I wasn't into, what was it, Lancer, Archer, and Conjurer at the time. So. And plus, again, like I said before, the best grain company leaner is Merlviv, and you get to meet best girl Y'shtola in Limsa, so it all works out. Take a seat wherever you like, friend. Our waitress will come to take your... Oh, not here to dine? Dare I hope that you're the adventurer Baderon sent word about? You are. The matron be praised. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mione, and the Carline Canopy is my place. With regard to the task in question, there's a fair bit to tell. Let me know when you're ready to hear the details, and I shall brief you. Fire in the Gloom. Mione is waiting to brief you on your task. Ready for that briefing? Good. Now then, here's the long and short of it. Beg pardons for interrupting, Mione, but our need grows ever more pressing. Have none stepped forward? And good day to you too, Bowlord. Your need must be pressing indeed for you to honor us with a visit. The good news is, your journey hasn't been wasted. I'm pleased to report that we have a volunteer at last, and one who comes highly recommended at that. My thanks for answering the call, friend. My name is Lewin, and I lead the men and women of the God's Quiver. Now, time is of the essence, so I shall proceed directly to the heart of the matter. We wish for you to nip a potential threat to Gridania in the bud. Beneath the central shroud there lies an underground burial site called the Tamtara Deepcroft. The place was once a Gelmoran settlement, but we Gridanians have long interred our dead there. Of late, however, shadowy figures have been seen skulking about the Deepcroft, and with ever-increasing regularity. Based on the accounts of various witnesses, we suspect that these individuals belong to the Lambs of Dalamud, a doomsday cult which sprung up prior to the calamity. These zealots have proven themselves dangerous in the past, and we leave them to their own devices at our peril. Ordinarily, I would have dispatched my best men to scour the Deepcroft with orders to flush the cultists out. Alas, the calamity decimated our ranks, and the limited forces at my disposal are constantly required to keep the Ixal at bay. The birdmen have grown restless of late, and I fear a storm may be brewing. In anticipation of this, I have been compelled to spread our forces throughout the Twelveswood, lest we be taken unawares. The situation so being, we must turn to others to deal with the Lambs of Dalamud. Can we rely on you to undertake this task, friend? Nod. You have my gratitude. Once you've seen to your preparations, pray make your way to the Deepcroft and identify yourself to the guard posted at the entrance. He will apprise you of the latest developments. That is all. Be careful out there. Be careful out there, you hear. May the crystal guide you and keep you. So Tamtara is one that I've done, and I'm sure many people have done countless times between Wondrous Tales. That's a great quick one for the, what is it, 1 to 50 one. And then I know back in the day working on the ARR relic weapons, you could use them for light farming. But again, I think you did that synced. So it's just Wondrous Tales that I run through here a bunch unsynced. You're Levensa's shark, I take it. Thanks for helping us out, friend. No doubt the Bowlord has already informed you, but your task is to enter the Deepcroft and purge it of the Lambs of Dalamud. In case you're unfamiliar with them, the cult emerged shortly before the Calamity put an end to the 6th Astral Era. The cultists took the lesser moon Dalamud for their god, believing that it would deliver them from the devastation. And so they were rather disappointed when Dalamud exploded into 1,000 flaming pieces before it could complete its descent. Now, having seen their god turn to ash, one would think that the cultists might feel moved to question their faith. On the contrary, it served only to stoke the flames of their fanaticism. That actually reminds me, I remember, what was it? It was like 2012 or something. There was a whole group of people that were believing, the Mayan calendar thing. And then whenever that date passed, they just ended up saying, well, that's not that date. It's actually later. And they just kept pushing it past. And they're probably still doing that to this day. The Lambs of Dalamud are convinced that heretics, that is to say everyone but them, interfered with the coming of their Lord and Savior, and that it's now their sacred duty to avenge him. Whatever it is they're doing in the Deepcroft, you may be sure that no good will come of it. For the sake of Gridania and Eorzea at large, put an end to their madness. Oh yeah, something I was going to say was, commenting on some of these earlier dungeons was in Sastasha. I was just thinking when I got to the last boss. I mean, as easy as that was, or whatever, but it of course reminded me of the last boss in hard mode, and I hate that fight. Like, not that it's hard or anything. I don't know. It's just like a boring, kind of frustrating fight. What am I doing? Tamtara Deepcroft. Yeah, I would say is probably more fun on hard. Yeah, this one's... I don't know. I guess, I mean, it's not a bad design, but I guess just because I've run through it, like, at max level so many times like this, that it's probably lost its luster. It used to be more interesting. This is actually a great example of a dungeon that doesn't even really have, like, alternate paths, per se. It just has little offshoot rooms, and nobody goes into them. And some of them do have gear, like if you're a lower level. But I think even then, like, you level so fast now. And I think, like, the MSQ gives more gear than it did initially. So, like, you don't even really need the gear that's out of those chests. Which is just unfortunate, because it kind of... it just kind of kills off the content. Like, it's... You know, it ends up kind of just being, like, something you do once and then move on. You know, unless you get it in a roulette, obviously, because there's lower level people running it or whatever. But, I mean, at the same time, obviously, with the you know, progression through the game being gated behind the MSQ, and how much of a journey that is. Like, I can understand, it's like, okay, like, I really don't want to have to spend time, like, grinding for gear in these low-level dungeons or whatever, just so I can, you know, keep going, so... I mean, you know, you can't keep everything relevant forever. And they do a pretty good job with the various events, like the Moogle treasure trove thing, of at least keeping, like, the really important MSQ dungeons populated. You know, just so people that are new and going through the MSQ can actually have people to run with. Which means it's not entirely irrelevant. Welcome back, Nola. Although at least it's not the one that makes you heavy. I do still run it sometimes to level low-level classes. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Like, as you're leveling classes, I mean, you will run it again. I guess that's kind of a unique position, you know, that I'm in, having everything at 80. It, like, I don't run any of that stuff. I don't even queue up for, like, leveling roulette anymore or anything like that. Like, you know, when there's not, like, Bajra right now is kind of where I'm getting my tomestones. But when I'm not doing stuff like that, when I don't need anything out of there anymore, like, I'll run a few expert roulettes throughout the week to get tomes. But other than that, I don't really run roulettes all that often. Who summons me from the void to reside within this crude vessel? You seem surprised. Did you not cross our gates in search of blood? Come hither, children of the dawn. The undying master will drink deep tonight. I don't know if you caught it a few minutes ago. I got a phone call, and I was trying to, like, lift the phone up so it wouldn't vibrate and hit the mic or whatever, but I needed to You have to like check it to get the notification to go away, so the phone will stop blinking. Um, One thing I'd like to see them do is implement some version of like an Unreal dungeon. Um, Now I know you're still going through the MSQ and leveling, but are you familiar at all with what the Unreal trials are? Okay, back to Mione. Oh, that was the wrong one. But yeah, the Unreal trials are like they just got old A Realm Reborn trials and basically bumped them up to the current max level. And I would love to see them do that with some dungeons. Um, but I kind of think they would have to um, tweak the dungeons in some way because I don't think because the Unreal trials I think literally they just scale it to level 80. Um, and kind of work it, because obviously, like, the amount of damage any one job can do is different between when it was originally released and now. Um, but they don't change any of the mechanics or anything like that, I don't think. There is no Unreal Dungeon. I'm saying I would like an Unreal Dungeon. Um, because I like the Unreal Trials that they, have kind of brought back older trials and, allowed us to like re-experience them at kind of the intended difficulty. And it would be kind of cool if they did that with some of the dungeons in the game. Because the one we're about to do after this, for some reason I have Dead Mines in my head, but it's not Dead Mines. It's wrong game. Copperbell Mines. Like I remember when the game first came out. Like, I mean, the last boss wasn't super easy or super hard, but it was certainly harder than he is now. Like you had to actually, it at least for a little bit, you had to pay attention to the actual mechanics of it. Like Sastasha hard but harder. That would be cool. Um, not quite, because them labeling those dungeons, parentheses hard is kind of a misnomer. Because they're not really hard versions of the dungeons. It's just part two of the dungeon. It's like, hey, so what's going on with this dungeon later on? And it switches up the path and everything, but it would be cool just to get some of these dungeons and just scale them up to where. I mean, personally, I would like it if every dungeon wasn't pull two groups of mobs, AoE it all down, fight the boss. Pull two groups of mobs, AoE it all down, fight the boss. Like where you had to actually. I mean, basically, I'm thinking back to, like, at least for me in my experience, Burning Crusade heroic dungeons. I mean, that's when like you had to CC mobs and you had to coordinate with the group. Um, and I mean, a lot of people have been asking for, harder dungeons in the game. Some type of. Usually, it always gets like the type of content people always refer to is the mythic dungeons in WoW, And I don't think we necessarily need like a Mythic Plus, or not Mythic Dungeon, but the Mythic Plus system. I don't think we necessarily need that. And the devs have already said that that would be really difficult for them to do because of how gear scaling works in this game. And it's like, how are you going to give at least gear rewards throughout Mythic Plus? Like, if it has to fit into like a 5 eye level, you know, spot in between tiers. It's more like a 10 eye level. But I mean, still, like, 10 eye level isn't much. But I think even just releasing like a truly hard mode dungeon every so often would be cool, where it's like, no, you have to actually, like, you can't just go in and just pull everything and burn it down. Like, you have to be smart about it. You have to, you know, like, CC the black mage or something like that, because it hits incredibly hard. And then, you know, go after the healer first. And I mean, because that was the kind of stuff we had to do back in Burning Crusade. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess because I know Yoshi P relatively recently had said that I think it's based off of like metrics of what they're seeing the players are doing, that they think that it's a better investment of their time to build up harder large group content than it is small group, which is interesting because like if you go to Reddit or the official forums or anything like that, like it seems like more people want harder small group content. So I know I would prefer that, but to each their own, I guess. Okay, let's do this. Welcome back, Lavenza. I'm reliably informed that your foray into the Deepcroft was a success. Nor did I expect anything less. Bateron's ringing endorsement left me in little doubt as to your capabilities. Even so, you are to be commended. Lord Lewin asked me to pass on his thanks. I must say, it's something of a relief to be able to call upon such a capable adventurer. Sadly, death has become an ever more common occurrence within our fraternity of late. Times being what they are, the Guild is constantly inundated with petitions, and we are hard pressed to find enough hands to deal with them all. While this means no shortage of work for able souls such as yourself, it also provides ample opportunity for the inexperienced to overreach themselves. I'm just thinking of Etta, with predictable consequences. Ah, as if to illuminate the point. Oh, okay. Avir's gone, and it's all your fault. If it hadn't taken you an age to heal him, he would still be alive. Blame the healer. But I tried. He bolted out of range before I could finish the spell. Very true. He shouldn't have been. He shouldn't have been so hard pressed in the first place. We should have done more to lighten his burden. Bah, to the hells with this pathetic excuse for a party. I'm leaving, and it'd be too soon if I never saw your faces again. Goodbye and good riddance. I'm leaving as well. I doubt this comes as any surprise, but I never liked you. Jeez, man. I only suffered you for your healing, but you couldn't even do that one thing right. Cruel though this may sound, you brought this upon yourself. Oh, and by way of some parting advice, get rid of Avir's head. Bury it, cremate it, do whatever the hells you like with it. Don't say that. But for God's sake, stop carrying it around. It's just get rid of it, all right? Wait, don't leave me alone, please. I'm so sorry, Avir. Please forgive me. Scenes like this have become all too common. That makes a dozen times in half as many days. Now you see why I'm grateful for adventures of your experience. I can send women like you on a mission without worrying that you might not return. Well, not so much at any rate. Speaking of missions, I would entrust you with another. About a bell ago, I received a message from my counterpart in Hulda. She seeks the services of a reliable adventurer, and you are nothing if not reliable. If you think you might be interested in this task, say the word, and I will be glad to share the details with you. It would be nice with hard dungeons for the high skill players, like with the harder raids. Yeah, I think I'll say, well, it's probably not just me, but you run into the issue, like with Savage raiding and the trials, where just, a lot of the times, yeah, particularly like in Party Finder, where, they'll say, like clear part, like farm party, that implies like know the fight, and too often you'll get people that clearly don't know the fight. And it's not to say that wouldn't happen with like hard 4-man dungeons, but obviously, like if you're in a party of 8 and there's one person that keeps screwing up and they're like have a pivotal role for that fight, and that can change depending on the fight. Sometimes it's tank, sometimes it's healer, sometimes it's DPS. But if they're pivotal for the role and they just keep messing up the mechanics or whatever, it makes it frustrating. So at 4 people, I would think, obviously, if the other one was 1 and 8, then in this case, you had like every other party, you'll have, somebody that doesn't know what they're doing or whatever. I don't know. I get like it wouldn't be as bad, I think, if people actually were honest about how experienced they are with the content. My friends raid in a group with several people like that. Yeah, it's just a common occurrence for people that it sounds bad, and like I don't like to project motive onto people. But a lot of people say this and you can kind of believe it, where people want to get carried, and so they'll join like a farm party just hoping that, well, like they'll get carried through it or whatever. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but with the amount of people that go in and it's clear they don't know, into a party that is specifically meant, for farming it or whatever, and there's people that clearly, consistently mess up throughout it, that it's like, okay, you're not ready for this party. It's like, no, nothing against you. Other than joining a party you shouldn't have, but it's like you need to go back to, practice group or whatever. But even then, I'll admit, like I've joined practice. Like I'll always join a practice group first, but then eventually get to the point that it's like you're consistently getting to like 5% or whatever, and the group just can't clear it. And it's like, at that point, I feel I know the fight well enough that I can join a clear party or whatever. And in my defense, like we clear it. So, but, everybody's different. I don't raid in the hardest content because I know I don't have the skill or focus to do that, and that's fine. Yeah, that's kind of why I've shied away from Savage stuff. It's not that I'm not interested in doing it. I don't have much experience with it. The last time I I did Savage raiding was back in Stormblood, and it was in the first tier of it, and I was a healer at the time, and I didn't really want to be a healer, but a friend of mine was in this group, and they needed a healer, so I was like, okay, I'll level a healer and go with them. And I mean, between the fact that, at least at the time, we were trying to do Shinryu, and I was struggling with the mechanics at the time, and playing a job that I didn't enjoy doing, it killed Savage raiding for me. I haven't done it since. Okay, Call of the Desert. Mione has information on a new task. So you're not averse to taking a little trip? Wonderful. As I mentioned earlier, the request comes to us from the Adventurers Guild in Ul'dah. Once you arrive, seek out Momodi, the proprietress of the Quicksand. Think of her as the Sultanate's version of myself. Chances are she'll send you into the midst of danger, but I have every confidence that you will pull through unscathed. Now off you go, Lavenza, and good luck. Yeah, I like, just all of them talking about that they're like each other's counterparts makes me think of... I know they've done it for multiple of the like seasonal events, but I think one of the last ones, it may have been the Hatching Tide one, maybe, where they'll comment, like a part of it is like you'll give gifts or something like that to various NPCs, and usually you'll end up seeing the three of them together. I think the last time they were all in costumes, so you didn't know specifically, but I mean, you could tell, and it's just kind of cool. Yeah, Ul'dah. But yeah, like I said, I haven't done any real... Like, I haven't done extreme primals even since that same time in Stormblood. I just have shied away from kind of the harder content. I've just kind of been more casual of late. Which is nice because I've gotten a lot done. I mean, leveling all the jobs and working on, various achievements and just more casual kind of stuff, and I've been enjoying it. Little Momodi. Welcome to the Quicksand, friend. I'm a tad busy right now, if you wouldn't mind showing yourself to it. Judging by your determined expression, I take it you ain't here for ale. Are you called Lavenza Shark by any chance? Mione sent word that you'd be reporting for duty. She also made a point of calling you the adventurer of the moment. That ain't no small praise coming from her. But you didn't come all the way here to listen to my prattle. Doubtless you're eager to get started, so let's talk business, shall we? Thank you for watching this video. I've had a great time going back through the story. If you've enjoyed it as well, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and come join me over at Twitch. My link is down below. I'll be streaming every Tuesday through Saturday from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. Thank you again.